All right. Well, Cade, we'll start with you. Coming off of, you got, an emotional road win over Marquette. Then you come home for Oakland, and some would say that maybe you'd be ripe for a letdown of a performance. Instead, as a team, you shoot 53% from the field. You get 5 guys shooting double figures. You end up withstanding what was really a historic 3-point shooting performance from an individual on the other team. What does that say about this team?
I think first credit to Oakland. They came in and they weren't scared of the setting. They came in, shot their shots with confidence, and they played, a great game. I think the biggest thing we have to learn from that, though. I don't think, we're always happy with a win, but I don't think we're all satisfied with how we won the game. This is something to build on. We're still confident for the future, and I think it just made everybody more hungry to get to practice tomorrow.
Ice, can you maybe talk a little bit about the guy next to you right now? I mean, you look at the final box, he's got 18 points, 8 assists, and really a lot of what he produced point-wise came at timely times. Like he would make shots at big moments. Can you maybe talk about whatever that it factor is that he has? What do you see from him?
He's just a great player. He's that guy. There's no hype around him. Every time he steps out there, he's gonna show you why he is who he is. So at times that we need buckets, if he knows he got to go get a bucket, he's gonna try. If he knows it's time to get people involved, the 8 assists show that he knows when to get people involved. So he never forces anything. He just takes what the defense give him. But at the same time, he knows when it's time for him to go try to get a bucket.
Ice, Cade referenced, could have done better. There was still, there's still room to grow after this performance, not necessarily satisfied. But what were you happy with? What were you pleased with?
To be honest, me personally, the only reason why I'm happy with the win is because I know their perspective of why they're not happy with the win. Because I remember me being a freshman myself. I would tell myself, like, man, we should have blown that team. No offense to Oakland, they're a great team. But I would have been like, man, we should have handled business better and all kinds of stuff like that. But from being a much older guy and seeing a different perspective of things, it's part of growing pains, it's maturity things. And, them guys, they went out there and they played good. At the end of the day, we could have lost, So I feel like they played well. It's part of learning and growing. It's better that we have that stuff going on right now than later on in the season. So I feel like it's part of the learning lesson.
All right, members of the media, if you have questions for Isaac Likekele or Cade Cunningham, please click raise hand and we'll try and get to you. We do ask that you please direct your question. Let us know who you want to respond, so that way that we're not talking over each other. So our first question is going to come from Marshall Scott from Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Cade, it seemed like you were maybe having a little trouble with their 1-3-1 zone to start the game. You guys haven't seen that look this year. Did you kind of feel yourself settling in more as the game went on?
I don't think we really had trouble with it at first. We knew that 1-3-1 was coming. I think we were just kind of stagnant. We didn't attack it early on. I think giving them confidence early on, I think that just, helped them throughout the game. So I think, we'll definitely learn from it. We know what to do with 1-3-1. We were just stagnant. Yeah, we'll be better.
And then what went into the decision-making process whenever you had the breakaway to go with the windmill?
Really, I was on the right side, so I didn't really know what I was going to do early on. I kind of chose windmill last second. I don't know. It just kind of happened. I don't know.
Gotcha. And Ice, what was it like? Obviously, that kid hit 10 threes, I think, is a GIA record for an opponent. Kind of what's the message to the guys whenever, they're just not missing?
You got to find ways to win. That's what it's about every night. We got some talented teams in the Big 12 and teams that we're going to see later on right now in non-conference that, as a team, they might hit a lot of threes, stuff like that. And that's what it's about, though, winning at a high level. You find different ways to win different nights.
Thanks, guys.
Our next question is going to come from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, Cade, I'm kind of curious. Was there a point maybe in that second half where you just said, screw it, I'm going to take over here a little bit and kind of go get your shots like Ice alluded to?
I definitely knew that it was about that time to, get aggressive. I think that's how I kind of usually play the game. I just, take what's given to me. And, later in the game, that's when everything usually started to spread out. Early on in the game, everybody's, fresh off getting their game plan and everything. So, the court is a lot smaller than later on. So once that time came, I just had to attack, and I did that.
How do you gauge that? How do you gauge that time you realize maybe you should do that?
Just off the feel of the game. You can always kind of feel momentum in the gym whenever the game's going on. And I think we had just came out of timeout, and I just kind of knew it was about that time to get to the rim. And even if I miss, I know we were a bigger team. I know if I miss, I have bigs down there that I'll go rebound it. So, just staying aggressive once the floor opened up, that's what I did.
Ice, you were really involved around the rim, especially in that first half. What was working for you around the rim today?
That's the key to beating zones. You want to get in inside. And the more that they worried about the inside finish, the more shooters get open. As you've seen second half, I believe we hit way more threes than we did in the first half. I don't know if that's true or not, but I believe so. We did hit more threes in the second half. So that's what it's about, just getting paint touches. We stress on paint touches every night. So that's all I tried to do.
I feel like this is maybe your better game of the season so far. You've gotten a little more rhythm.
I just play every night. I don't really just concern myself on what's going on numbers-wise. Some things I do, they don't show up on the stats. So, the numbers ain't really a testament to what I do or for what – maybe the fans and other people might be looking at it numbers-wise, but that's not what it's all about for me. So I just come out here and just play.
Awesome. Thanks, Ice. Thanks, Cade.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Joseph Fazio from the Okali. Go ahead, Joseph.
Hey, guys. Tonight you had 5 players score in double figures. Just how did it figure to have so many players play well tonight, frankly?
I think seeing that it definitely gives a lot of guys confidence going into the next games. It shows that we're spreading the ball. Trying to see, we had 22 assists on the game, so I think that number can go up for sure. But seeing a lot of guys scoring a lot of different ways, I think that was definitely helpful for us.
And then going with the 3-point game for your opponents tonight. You gave up a lot in the first half, but then in the second half, you had a 9-minute stretch from, I think it was 11 minutes to 2 minutes, where you gave up no 3-pointers, and they shot at least 10. Was that something you guys talked about in timeout to switch up game plan, or was that just natural defense?
It was just in the flow of the game and what was going on. They showed that they could make them, and they showed that they was going to take them. So eventually we had to go on a run where we ain't allowed them to hit any. So that's what we just tried to do, was lock down defensively and focus. Some tough ones went in, but that's what's part of the game.
All right, thanks, guys.
Our next question comes from Chris Becker from the Okali. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, guys. Mine's for Cade. Cade, you kept finding Caleb Boone down low all throughout the game, including that alley-oop. How do you think he played tonight? And kind of talk about his performance.
Caleb. You say Caleb?
Yeah, Caleb.
Caleb's been coming a long way. We stay on Caleb a lot because, we know what his potential is. We know what he can do. Going 5 for 5 today, I think that's a big jump for him. He had 7 rebounds. So, seeing that, I'm definitely proud of him. He definitely picked it up. He stayed aggressive. He didn't let early turnovers and stuff get into his head. And he stayed confident throughout the game. So seeing that, I don't want him to get his confidence down over, early mistakes and stuff. And he didn't do that today. So I'm proud of that.
Can you walk me through that alley-oop that you threw to him, kind of what that felt like, and just to have him a connection like that?
I love seeing big man run. So, when a big man gets down the court, runs and like that, and leads the break, you always have to reward your big. So I did that.
Thanks, Cade.
Our next question comes from Ryan Breeden from the Okali. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Ice, you mentioned a little bit about not being fully satisfied with just like a win tonight, feeling like it's going to do better. Do you feel like part of that was because of some turnover problems you guys had, maybe keeping them in the game a little bit?
Yeah, that played a big part. But it's also little focus things that, on the court y'all wouldn't realize, because we know what we was trying to accomplish and our strategies and stuff like that we didn't execute ourselves, that we could have controlled, that we just wasn't executing and different things like that.
I gotcha. So it's more or less of a like it looks like a turnover, but there's things that you guys were trying to accomplish that maybe just didn't quite work out.
Yeah, multiple things. So it was more of a mental focus. We didn't have the right mental focus to begin with, and then our energy was just lackluster too to begin with also.
I got you. And then, Cade, you've gone through 4 college basketball games now. What have you learned among these first 4 games, and how has it been maybe different or kind of similar, or just to what you were expecting coming in?
You know, I definitely the court got smaller. It feels like it's just something to adjust to. I'm not mad at it. I think it's only helped me develop as a player, really. So, you know, just making reads and. You know, a lot of guys are a lot more athletic. Things aren't open as long as they used to be in high school. So, you know, having that, it's exciting because it makes you a better player, and I'm happy for it.
Thanks.
Next question comes from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, real quick, Cade. How's your hand? You kind of banged that up in the first half.
Yeah, it's fine. It was really a scratch, and then I jammed my middle finger. I had a scratch on my ring finger and jammed the middle one, so. It looked ugly, but it's all right. It's not bad.
I didn't realize you could just walk over to a trainer in a stoppage in a game. That was new to me.
Yeah, I didn't think they were gonna let me do that either, but I wasn't mad they didn't make me sub out. So I was cool with that for sure. I was cool with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Cade.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, that'll do it for questions. But for either one of you guys, really, before we let you go, do you feel like that there is anything that was important to you that maybe we didn't cover that while we've got everybody here, that we should be talking about?
Appreciate y'all. Y'all asked everything.
Yeah, I haven't got to look at the stats good enough yet, so maybe next time we'll come up with something. You know what I'm saying? Got y'all.
All right, well, I'm going to throw one last dart at you then, all right? Ice, I got one for you. I don't think that we really gave our guy from Oakland, Williams, his true credit for what he did today. Maybe from a player's perspective, what was it like, you know, going against him and seeing a performance like that?
Yo, he gave me one 3-pointer in the corner where I was all over him. I slapped the ball. I had a hand up, everything. He still let it up, and he made it. I mean, that goal was just looking 5 feet wide to him, and he was just making himself. It was just tough.
You made us better today, for sure.
Okay, well, very good. Well, I'll tell you what, we appreciate both of you guys. Congratulations on the win. Have a great rest of your night.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Yo, I thought we was playing bids for a second.
That's 10 break. That's literally. Gavin, if you can hear me, we are ready for you.
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear. Coach, congratulations on the win over a team that was much, much tougher than what their record would indicate. Obviously, they've dealt with all kinds of COVID adversity and other things. And could you maybe tell us what you saw out there today?
I was really concerned about this game because of their record, to be honest. I know how hard that is for young guys to understand how a team can be good if they don't win. But I watched the tape. That coach has been coaching there almost as long, almost as long as I've been alive, actually. So he's not guessing out there. He knows what he's doing. He's got an experienced group of guys, and they're just trying to find their rhythm. I knew they would be a tough team to play against. Their percentages, I couldn't speak to the things that I knew about them to my team. I knew they were going to shoot a lot of threes, but their percentages coming into the game, I mean, it's hard to tell a bunch of freshmen these guys can shoot when their percentages are 20% or 17%. But certainly they showed tonight what they're capable of doing, and a team I think is going to be really good. I got a lot of respect for Coach Campy. Hard-fought win for us, one where we can learn a lot from. The urgency that we got to play with consistently on the defensive end wasn't there tonight. And I look forward to using this opportunity for us to build on and be better the next time out.
You know, what you just ended that statement there with is what Cade ended with, too. He said, you know, this is a game that's going to make us better. Could you maybe unpack that a little bit? What about this game makes you better?
Well, one of the things that you got to be able to do is you got to be able to hang your hat on something. And for us, our identity has to start on the defensive end. And we didn't have the defensive focus consistently through the game. We had spurts. We'd get up 7, and we let them run off 3 threes, and we'd be down. We get up 8, we let them hit 2 threes, it'd be a 1-possession game. And just understanding how to take a lead and extend it, go from up 8 to up 15, certainly something that we're going to need to be able to do because, again, as we get into conference play, and Oakland's a really good team, they got really good players and a really good coach, that's every night in our conference. And so as we get prepared for that in 2 weeks, we got to understand that we can't take plays off, possessions off. We got to play every possession with a sense of urgency that the game could be tipped on that particular possession.
Members of the media, if you have a question for Oklahoma State coach Mike Boynton, please click raise hand and we'll try and get to everybody. Our first question is going to come from Dean Rule from the Oakland. Go ahead, Dean.
Hey, Coach, I was just wondering if you could talk maybe a little bit toward the strength that, Cade Cunningham kind of being able to turn it on whenever he wants and being able to kind of switch the momentum just on a dime. What strength does that give your program?
A lot's been talked about his talent. His talent, his ability just naturally is unique. He can make plays for other people, which is where his probably greatest strength is. He elevates the level of play of the guys with him, but he also has a good feel for knowing when to pick his spots. He knew we were kind of struggling to get going offensively, particularly from 3. And, one of the knocks on him is apparently he's not supposed to be able to shoot. But I've watched the kid for a long time. I've never felt like he couldn't shoot. And certainly feel comfortable with him shooting threes, which he did at a pretty efficient clip today. So I don't want him ever to get comfortable with being able to turn it on and off. That's a unique skill that maybe he hopes to have. But I know that this game requires an unbelievable amount of respect. And if you respect the game enough and you play it the right way, which he does, then you'll get rewarded more often than not. But if you decide that you're going to play a game where you're going to turn it on and off and maybe not play as hard, which he doesn't do. He plays hard pretty much. It's just that he looks – sometimes the game, to be honest, it looks easy for him because he doesn't have to exert as much energy to do something like I would. Like I would need 10 times the amount of energy to do what he does on the court. I'm not as big as he is, don't have the type of vision that he does. But because it looks like it's easy doesn't mean he's not giving effort. He's just got to fine-tune some things on the defensive end, and that'll take him to a whole nother level for our team.
Thank you, Coach.
Our next question comes from Jimmy Gillespie from the Stillwater News Press. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Hey, Coach. I could be wrong here, but the other night against Marquette, it seemed like you guys on the perimeter switched a lot defensively. Tonight, there wasn't as much switching. That lead to more like open 3-pointers tonight?
Me, Jimmy, I tried not to go into what specifics of the game. I need to watch the film. The game plan wasn't to switch. We didn't play as much zone. We didn't play very much zone at all today. And they exposed some weaknesses for us. Some guys with lack of urgency on the defensive end. Let one guy make 10 threes is totally unacceptable. We got to be better than that. I credit Bryce Williams. He had about 4 possessions there in the second half where he just made up his mind that kid wasn't going to get one off, and if he did, it was going to be a forced one over his hand. He really helped us extend the lead there middle of the second half, and he was the difference in the game for us defensively.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Coach.
Our next question comes from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, I know you just said it's unacceptable for one guy to hit 10 threes, but what did you see from him tonight? That was pretty impressive.
Oh, he's a hell of a player. What I saw was the same thing I saw in film from last year. Problem was, again, I couldn't look at his stats from this year and tell our guys, hey, this guy's a really good player. Because what they're seeing is an 0-5 team where their guys' percentages don't look like they can shoot, even though they still shoot a lot. And I was telling them, hey, they got a bunch of guys who shoot a lot of threes, and their coach has been there 37 years. If those guys couldn't shoot, he wouldn't let them. But it's hard, right, when they haven't made them, and part of the reason they haven't made them is they haven't practiced. They haven't found that rhythm yet. Well, tonight they found their rhythm, and we were the victim, and credit to them for taking advantage and exploiting that. And hopefully it's something that we can learn from so we don't replicate it as we move forward in the season.
What did you think of Ice tonight? I mean, he's done a lot of things to start the season, but it seemed like he got going offensively a little faster tonight.
Yeah. Against the zone, which they did a lot, we were able to play through him in the high post a lot. It was kind of I got to be careful sometimes with how much I move Cade around. And because he had it going from 3, and I usually like to put him in the high post, I didn't want to take that away from him. So we put Ice in there a little bit more, which opened up some opportunities for him to catch the ball in the middle of the zone and attack, which he did early and felt good about the way he got started.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from Marshall Scott from Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, you touched on this a little bit with Jimmy, but were you happy with the way that you guys were defending threes? Because they did make a lot of contested ones. Ice mentioned here one in the corner where he's all over him, it still goes in. Were you happy with the way that you contested them, or what are some things that you could have done differently?
Well, I wasn't happy with the way we guarded them early. And what our guys, especially our younger guys, got to understand is the momentum of the game, the confidence. Anybody who's played, right? You hit your first 2 or 3 shots, and now it feels like even the contested ones you can make. And that was the fact today. I mean, we let them get 4 or 5 uncontested looks off to start the game. And they made them, and then they felt in a pretty good rhythm. And now got a bunch of young guys out there trying to defend screens that they just don't have the urgency to defend yet. But, again, I'm glad we're able to get out of here with a win. I got a lot of film to be able to break down and show our guys the way we can be exploited. And credit goes to them. They ran good offense, and we held off a really, really good team that I think is going to win a lot of ball games moving forward.
You've seen a 2-3 this year. You've seen a lot of man-to-man. Today you saw a 1-3-1. Just how beneficial could this be that you guys have seen now all these defenses and those freshmen have kind of got their feet wet with it?
It's great. I've always tried to schedule, and again, that record doesn't indicate it that they're a good team, but I know that they're going to be a good team as they move along in the season, as they get more practices under their belt, and that this win is going to help us immensely as we move forward because of the style of play, because they shoot so many threes. We'll see teams in our league that play a similar style, maybe not the 1-3-1 zone, but offensively, the way they try to attack us. And again, I need to identify some guys that I know I can put on people when they get going. And Bryce Williams showed up and raised his hand tonight.
We've talked about, Caleb struggles a little bit at Marquette. He was able to stay on the floor tonight. What do you think of his performance?
Yeah, it was a conscious effort. It kind of, I don't know. I want to say I made a concerted effort to try to play through him early because I wanted to get him going. But it's not necessarily ideal against his own. It really isn't. Probably a slap on the wrist for me for trying to force feed it and for not adjusting to play our zone a little bit more. But I needed our guys to learn how to do some things in a more disciplined fashion and to be able to get out here and win. A lot to learn, a lot to show on film. Hopefully we can learn from this and be better on Tuesday night when we play ORU.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from Chris Becker from the Oakland. Go ahead, Chris.
Coach, you just talked to Marshall about Caleb Boone. What is his development like? How does that add to this team, and what does he bring to this team that that as he grows, the team can only get better?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's long and athletic the way we like him. He's a guy who can make plays around the rim, both offensively and defensively. He can run the floor. He's probably one of the quickest bigs in the Big 12. So without a bunch of girth or physical strength, he can use his quickness to his advantage. And he's got a pretty good feel in the post for scoring. We just got to get him a little bit more comfortable knowing when he's going to get the ball, when we're going to be able to run plays to him, and how he's going to, be able to impact the game because so much is made of how much pick and roll we play with Cade. And sometimes that means we don't maybe throw the ball to the block as much and feature him. Well, tonight, especially because they were in zone, we didn't have as many pick and roll opportunities, but we were able to get the ball to him inside, and he was a lot more effective than he has been the last couple.
And you talked about rebounding almost every time we talked to you this year. How would you grade out your rebounding performance tonight?
I thought we did a great job, and I thought Caleb led the charge for us there. Obviously, we always talk about our guards having to help us there because we don't have a ton of depth inside. And I thought we did a pretty good job. I think we were plus 10 on the glass, which is our goal. So anytime you hit that type of goal, you'll give yourself a chance, especially if you're getting out and being able to get shot opportunities in transition, which we were able to turn a lot of those defensive rebounds into baskets.
Thanks, Coach.
Our next question comes from Ryan Breeden from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned their 1-3-1 zone that Oakland runs a little bit. Do you feel like that gave you guys some problems, maybe with some turnovers and bad decision making early on?
A little bit. We weren't very sharp offensively. And a lot of that goes to them. It's the first time we've seen a 1-3-1. So it's a different zone, and you got to attack it differently than you do a 2-3. So it took a little bit of adjusting for us, but I thought the adjustments we did with the game, looked pretty good, and we were able to get the shots that we wanted for the most part.
And then I asked Ice a little bit about like the number for the turnovers you guys had tonight was 17, but Ice mentioned, he said, that number is a little bit deceiving because of just some things that maybe went wrong within the offense on a couple of possessions. Do you feel like turnovers at all played a factor in allowing them Oakland to stay in the game a little bit longer than you guys had hoped?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, and it's hard. I can't really pinpoint specifics from the game until I watch the film. But I do, for some reason, I remember not many of them being live ball turnovers, meaning a steal that led to a basket. It was a charge, or we throw it out of bounds, and we were able to set our defense, which wasn't great tonight, but at least we were able to set our defense and not giving up a bunch of easy baskets. But they made a ton of challenge threes. It certainly is the 17. The number of turnovers at 17, we got to break down, regardless of how they go.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Joseph Fazio from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Joseph.
Coach, tonight you had 5 players scoring double figures. How'd you just feel about the way this offense moved tonight?
Again, I thought after the first, handful of possessions where we kind of fumbled a couple and missed a couple layups, I thought we ran pretty good offense. It took a little while for our guys to adjust to where the open passes were, where the open cutting lanes were against the zone. But again, I thought for the most part, our offense wasn't the issue. Defensively, they picked us apart pretty good. And I didn't want to give our guys a pass on that end. It's something that we have to hang our hat on. We got to be a good, solid defensive team. We got to be a really good defensive rebounding team, and we got to be a team that takes care of the ball on offense. And those 3 things we did not do a great job of, and it's definitely something that we got to get better at immediately.
And later in the second half, you had about a 9-minute stretch of not giving up any 3-pointers to Oakland. Was that just a defensive change you made, or was that just a natural progression?
No, I mean, we talked about it at every time out. We talked about it coming into the game, and again, it's hard to get guys to look at their percentages and believe you that they can make them. And then they jump up and make a bunch of them. And they're like, oh, okay, now they start paying attention a little bit more. But at that point, again, the confidence is flowing. And again, I got to give a lot of credit to Bryce Williams for stepping up and taking on the challenge. I've really just taken that kid out for 5 or 6 possessions in a row there. And then it fed into Ice, and it fed into Rondell, and we were able to get out in transition and score some easy baskets, which gave us some separation from them from a scoring standpoint.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Excuse me, I turned myself on mute. Our next question comes from Marshall Scott from Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Mike, what is it like with the spread out bench? I imagine it's a little, more different. You can't really go to guys and talk to them while they're on the bench because you'd have to step away from the court. What has that been like?
It's weird. It's one of the hardest things for me because I like to talk to the guys about things that are happening in the game. I don't know whether my guys are, to be honest. And so it's different. That's something I'm still trying to get adjusted to. And instead of driving myself crazy with trying to find people, I've just decided that I'm just going to sit to the court and try to focus on the guys in the game more, and hopefully rely on my staff to do a good job coaching those guys that aren't in the game. But it's definitely still taking some getting used to for me to figure out just the whole bench setup.
That's what kind of was my next question. Do you rely more on the bench staff to find those guys? Is that something you've talked to them about, or is that just kind of something that you need to naturally happen?
No, it's something we continue to talk about. I mean, this is an evolving situation. I don't know if what we're doing is what we'll do in a month. It's something it's one of those unique things that's just different, hopefully for just this year, right? But certainly different from anything we've ever done before. I've never had guys like 3 rows behind me that they're supposed to play. And so it's a challenge. I've asked the staff to just be conscious of, you know, if I forget about someone comes out, you know, if Ice comes out and he's out for 5 minutes, that can't happen, obviously. Somebody needs to send his ass to the scores table, and I'll figure out who needs to come out when the sub comes. So it's definitely something different for us.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, our next question comes from Chris Becker from the Okali. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Coach. You guys started slow against Marquette last game, and then again this game. What's your message to the team about those slow starts, and to kind of overcoming those?
I mean, it's not ideal. You never want to start behind, but we just talk about the process of the game. You know, we play the game in 4-minute segments. You know, it's a timeout. We get to make adjustments, substitute. We have halftime, and so we don't necessarily focus on one particular part of the game. We always want to get off to a good start, but it's not make or break. It's not make or break at halftime. And obviously, we've shown we can come from behind and play well, and we can play with a lead. So we just got to continue to understand the urgency, possession after possession after possession, whether it's from the jump ball to the final buzzer. Every possession has value in our game, and the more we take care of the basketball and get defensive rebounds and stops, the better and more efficient that we're going to be on the other end of the court.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, so Bryce kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, enough, I'm gonna make the stops here. There's kind of an implied grittiness there. Is that kind of his nature, and do you feel like that is maybe a sustainable role that he may be able to fill throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, no question. You know, it's not just a grittiness. There's a physical ability element to this too. I was a gritty defender, but I didn't have his feet. I didn't have his athletic quick twitch where he could go make a play on the ball in the air. I was literally just the best positional defender that any of my coaches. I could never be in the wrong place. If I was, I didn't have any value to my team. Bryce can gamble. He can kind of get his hands on balls. Rondell's got some of that to him as well. And so those guys have tremendous value whether you play man or zone, because in the zone they can cover a lot of ground. And in the man, you can just kind of sick him on a guy and say, hey, he's yours. Kind of the Revis Island mentality from football. You know, just take this guy out, don't let him get one off, and he did a pretty good job of it tonight.
All right, well, Coach, that'll do it for questions. Do you feel like there's anything important about this game or about this team that maybe wasn't discussed that should be discussed?
No, I do want to take a moment to thank our fans. Again, I don't ever want to miss the opportunity to tell them how much we appreciate them, what they've done to continue to support these kids through this. I thought our crowd was terrific. I felt the energy in there. It didn't feel like 16, it didn't feel like 13, 6, 11, but it felt like an energetic, passionate crowd who cares about basketball. And we certainly appreciate them as we continue to build this program in a way that they can be proud. So we hope that they continue to come out. We got another one Tuesday against an in-state team. And we hope as many people can come in the building. We'll come on and show up at 7 o'clock on Tuesday.
Well, Coach, thank you so much. Please know how much we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the win. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody.